From the Aishin Broadcast Studio, it's the Executive Spotlight.
Welcome to the AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today our guest is Chris Lentz from AutoSweet. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, welcome. Thanks.
Thanks for coming in today.
Oh, happy to be here. This is an exciting place to be.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to ask you first about first-party data. Can you tell me a little bit about first-party data and why it's important to dealers and how they can use it to market?
Well, simply put, first-party data is data that you know about somebody you've met, somebody you've interacted with as a business. It's a consumer that comes to your website and gives you a lead. It's it's somebody who purchases a vehicle from you or purchases services from you. And the data that you collect when you do that is accurate because they've given it to you, and they've trusted you to use that data. But it includes things often like first name or last name. Sometimes it's email address and phone number, and but it can get far more detailed. You can get their social security number. You can get their income levels. You can get the cars that they have in the garage. So it can be very detailed, but the most important point about it is data that you have, which a lot of marketing, you don't have data that you know anything about. So it's real important. It's really valuable for a dealership to have this kind of data. Whether you're a franchise dealer or an independent dealership or an auto repair shop or a boat or RV dealer, you can take this data because you collect it and you can use it for marketing purposes, and you can use it kind of for one-to-one marketing. You can actually reach out to people because you know information about them. If you know that they have a bad credit score, you can offer them advanced credit kind of stuff in your marketing. If you know that they own an F-150, for instance, you can market to them that you're having specials on F-150s. If you know that they haven't been in for service for 18 months, you can reach out to them and try to provide service to them. So that one-to-one marketing is really important from a dealership perspective. And it's also really important from an ROI perspective. You want to be able to say, I know that I marketed to this person and I sold something to them after I spent marketing dollars, so you can measure your ROI. From a consumer's perspective, that data that they give to you is confidential. They want to make sure that when they give it to you that you're treating it special. So it's a trust factor where they're providing that information to you and expecting that you don't share their social security number with other people or that you don't, let people have it. So you've got to protect that data. But they also know that you're going to market to them. So once they've given it to you, they kind of expect you to use it for some marketing. And maybe that marketing is just making their service experience better for you, making the product experience that they have with you better.
I definitely agree with you on that, because think about sometimes when you get a piece of marketing, whether it's in the mail, in an email, or whatever it is, and it is very fit to you. Like when I see ads for like fishing stuff, I know that company knows me. But sometimes you see ads and you're like, holy moly, what were they thinking? Like, there's no way So I think that people definitely recognize and appreciate the marketing messages that kind of hit the sweet spot, and they definitely don't appreciate the ones that completely miss the mark.
Right, and that's the whole thing is you use that marketing to market your products to the people that have reached out to you or people that you've identified as needing your product. And as a consumer, I come to expect that. I want that because I like boats. Sell me a boat all day long. I can look at boats constantly, and there's always a need for some product that you have, and you want to know about it. When I'm in the market for a car, I want to get a car ad. I want to see cars. When I'm looking for my next vehicle, I just recently went through a shopping experience, and I was very happy to be advertised to, be told when particular vehicles, I was looking for a rare vehicle that I couldn't find. And so I was getting advertisements whenever that vehicle was in stock for a dealership. And that was real important to me because it was really hard to find. I was looking in different states, and I was real excited when I found one locally, even like all of Ohio. So that was nice. So it was in my region and demographic. So it's real important that we do that. And that is hugely effective marketing. It's actually the most effective marketing, is to be able to advertise to people that trust you, because they're more likely to open it up. And it's real important, for brand recognition, for people to consistently see your message. So if you are taking the data and consistently advertising on multiple channels, using that first-party data. So I have that list from my CRM, or I have that list from my DMS, or I have maybe an affiliate list that I've gotten from an OEM or somebody else that I'm allowed to market to, and I have permission to do so. I can take that list and I can upload it to different social media platforms. I can send email out to them. I can do SMS blasts. I can put it on connected TV, all kinds of different things like that. Yeah. And as a consumer, if I see that ad in multiple places repetitively, I'm more likely to buy. So it's a real good opportunity for me to see the branding and see the products that interest me.
How are the recent changes in privacy affecting dealerships' ability to market online and collect first-party data? I mean, is that whole thing at risk?
The way it has typically worked in the past is we've been able to utilize cookies as marketers, and there's a lot of data built into cookies, or there was. And today, consumers have more control over whether or not they're going to present those cookies. And there is some legislation that requires that dealerships actually require cookie consents before somebody comes to the website, and you have to prompt a consumer to say, can I track your cookies on the website? And a consumer can say, no, I don't want to be tracked anymore. So they can opt out of this. And I think there's a reason for that. A lot of times, I mentioned I was looking for some vehicles in the past year, and I'm just looking. I don't want to necessarily be marketed to immediately. I'm kind of being in stealth mode right now, and I'm going to look at probably 18 to 20 websites over the course of time, and until I'm ready to buy, I don't necessarily want to give you my lead information. I don't want you marketing to me. I'm just in the research mode. Mm-hmm. So I opt out of that at that point. But when I'm interested in doing it because I want to get advertised to, I opt in, or I give you a lead and I submit my information so that I can talk to you about a product. So from a marketer's perspective, we want to be able to collect as much information about you as we can so that we can do two things. One, reach out to you directly with messages, and two, get ROI measurements about how our marketing's performing so that we're just not spending money rampantly.
Yeah.
And so that's the real challenge for marketers is, yeah, you can market to everybody, but you're going to spend a ton of money. And if I can focus my monies on the people that I think are really interested in my products, mm-hmm. can retarget people and get access to them because I know who they are, I have first-party data about them, and I want to be able to provide that list to a big channel where they live, whether it's Google search ads or Google display ads or Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp, whatever. Or if I think they're going to be an email client, I can send emails to them. It's real important that I can channel that money to the most effective channel that returns the most results for me.
Now, can you explain what a customer data platform does? And is that something that every dealership needs to have?
Well, a customer data platform is essentially it's a big data set, a database that ties in and unifies a bunch of different data platforms. I mean, you have a CRM at a dealership, you have a DMS, you have other lists of data that you need to compile together. You might have a separate service system that's not included in your DMS because you're doing something different. And you want to pull all those data sets together, and you want to kind of get them correlated so that there's kind of one customer record, mm-hmm. but then you want to tie that to other data sets. So you want to know real postal information. You want to get the postal information updated. You want to know who owns what in garages. You might want to find out what their social media platforms are. So you're getting all these data sets and you're tying them together. I think the answer to your question is that I don't think every dealership needs these. In fact, I don't think every dealership can actually utilize them because they're, first of all, expensive to implement. Mm-hmm. And second of all, they take time and expertise to work with. And unless you have a dedicated marketing team, a CDP probably isn't going to serve you well, I don't think. But what does serve you well is a marketing automation platform. And there's a number of vendors in the automotive space specifically that can do similar things. They can take and do marketing automation for you, whether it's email or social media automation or paid ads automation. And they take that data, they can digest that information, and they can automate the marketing. And if they are able to also absorb your customer data and work with that seamlessly, maybe being certified to work with one of your DMSs or your CRMs, they can collect that information and utilize it for that marketing delivering. And obviously they can also then use it for measurement too if they're doing that kind of integration.
Presented from the Aishin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
I want to ask you about the ASC standards. Can you kind of explain, what they are and how does that help dealerships, evaluate the effectiveness of their marketing?
Well, when you're marketing, you want to know who's coming to your website, and you want to be able to measure who's coming in and what they're doing. And so a number of companies, a number of vendors in the automotive space have gotten together, and they have come up with standards where they are publishing events to the website, and the website is then tracking and showing people what's happening. Mm-hmm. And those standards make it easier for you as a marketer to measure what's going on with each of the events that are going on a website. So I can track and find out if somebody comes to the website, if an actual form event, because I don't get, as a marketer, when I'm looking at Google Analytics, I don't necessarily naturally know that form was fired unless some event is getting measured. Mm-hmm. So the ASC put together a list of standards about how vendors can publish that information so that marketers can look at it. And marketing tools should be looking at the ASC events and using it to measure the effectiveness of their campaign. So you run a campaign on Facebook or Google, that traffic comes to your website, you can then tie those ad spends, and you can tie them to the events that are being fired on the website. So it becomes a real good way to measure the real ROI of everything that's going on your website. And some big vendors have implemented it, and we at AutoSweet use it to measure, as well as the transactional data that we get from the DMS. We use those to tie together to measure all of our marketing efforts.
Now, when you say events, I imagine if I fill out a lead form, that's an event. If I schedule a service appointment, that's an event. But what are some of the other events?
Other events include watching a video. Watching it play all the way through. Other events are going to and interacting with service or sales specials. So, just going to that page and knowing that that's happening is important. Phone calls. Sometimes I go to a website and I dial a phone call. And most dealerships use tracking numbers, but it's nice to have those will go to Google, those tracking numbers, or they'll go to your call tracking system. Other events include measuring my chat. A chat was engaged. A consumer came to the website, they started a chat, they talked for a while, they completed a chat. So there's all kinds of different things like that you can measure. Submitted a finance application. The digital retailing platforms are also using it and telling people how far along in the event process that they've gone. So it's got a lot of detailed information that you could get into, and it's pretty exciting.
Well, I'd like to circle back to first-party data for a moment. You talked a lot about first-party data, and let's try to make it a little more clear. Like, does a dealership need to hire a person or a team of people in order to collect and utilize first-party data and measure the ROI? How much work are we talking about there? Is it a lot? Is it a little? What does that look like?
Well, if you think about the process, you have to get the data into some system. So you have to collect it. And your transactional data is usually collected in your DMS, right? Yep. So that's pretty easy and straightforward. And you have to train your staff to collect important first-party data. And so somebody goes through a service bay, it's real important that you ask them for their email address. And a lot of dealerships train on that, but a lot of dealerships don't too. We do work with some dealerships, and we have to educate them on the importance of collecting email information during a service transaction, because you want to be able to follow up with them. And the cheapest way that you can follow up with somebody is a digital marketing effort. You can either send an email, or you can take that email address and you can upload it to Facebook and tell them about new sales and service stuff. So collecting that data is a huge part of the whole process of getting and collecting the first party data. But then you've got multiple systems that have it. You've got your CRM, you've got your DMS, and like I said, you have maybe other OEM stuff that you're getting that you own, and you have to correlate all those different data sets together. So do you have technology people that can do that can collect that data and do something with it, put it all together, and then you have to figure out how to package it and put it up to these marketing sources. So there's a lot of work involved with it. It's not technically unfeasible for any dealership to do it with the right staff. I wouldn't want to say it's overly complicated, but it's work. And if your main goal as a dealership, as a general manager, sales manager, BDC manager, if your main goal is to optimize and build sales, you want a team that's going to do that. And so unless you have a marketing team with those kind of assets, it becomes difficult. So that's why the marketing automation platforms are really helpful for smaller dealerships that don't want to get involved with the technology, keep up to date with all the different interfaces. I mean, Google changes even their data specifications on a pretty regular basis. And you need somebody to keep up on that and make sure that there's technology that's making that whole thing work. And so that's a big part of it. So it takes time, takes effort, and it's not cheap to build the whole system.
You and I have been in the business long enough to remember when, some dealerships, they had a nephew that built their website. And not very many dealerships build their own websites these days. It sounds like if you were a very large group and you had a very large team that was working with, lots of locations, that maybe that would make sense. But I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like if you and I own a dealership together and we're doing 200 cars a month, that's probably not an undertaking for us.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's the kind of dealerships that really work well with a marketing automation platform is if you're selling 500 cars a month and you've got 4 or 5 or 10 locations or more, you're going to definitely want to be thinking about getting a staff that can handle all that first-party data ingesting, because you might have different DMSs, you might have different CRMs, maybe not. You probably want to standardize, but not always. Your OEMs will tell you have to be on this platform, and your other one says you have to be on this platform. And then, do all the websites support ASC? Not necessarily. So you want like measurements. That's one of the big things about putting something into a reporting system is you want to normalize everything so that you can get the same data out of each of your properties, right? Yeah. So it is a very technological thing. So we offer expertise, and I think other companies do offer expertise in this industry. So reach out to those people and find out how they can help you. And the main goal for the dealership that I think is important is that they want to figure out how to spend their marketing dollars effectively. Everybody's trying to save money, right? I mean, everybody's trying to save money. And if you can save money in your marketing effort by spending less on a platform because you're marketing to people that generate a higher ROI, then why wouldn't you do that? And if you can do that cost effectively and bring your cost down to acquire a new customer or to bring business in from your existing customers, then using the smart way to do it rather than spending a ton of money on putting it on a bunch of platforms and hoping and praying. I think it's just a much better solution. And at the end of the day, you should be able to reduce your marketing dollars.
Or spend the same and sell more, right? I mean, you could always spend the same and sell more.
Absolutely. That's a good way to go at it, too, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, everybody wants to sell more.
Yes, that is the American way.
Yeah. If you ask a salesman how to solve any problem, they all have the same answer. Sell more. Right?
It does make a lot of problems go away.
Yeah. I would like to ask you, can you just tell me what AutoSweet does? Tell me a little bit about AutoSweet. How do you guys serve dealers?
I appreciate you asking. AutoSweet's a marketing platform, and basically I referred to it earlier as a marketing automation platform. And basically what we do is we work primarily with your inventory, and we market your inventory because we really think the inventory is the star. And so we collect that inventory, we do a lot of things with it, we repurpose it, make it beautiful, and we put it on multiple channels for your marketing effort. And then marketing is important, but really measuring is the the most important thing, because we want our customers to spend their marketing dollars effectively. So we spend a lot of time. That's why we're a founding member of the ASC Council. We want to be able to measure stuff. That's why we are CDK and Reynolds certified, because we want to be able to integrate with your DMSs and get that information for marketing measurement and for delivering marketing on multiple channels. We're also Google certified. We're Meta certified. So what AutoSweet really likes to do is measure the effectiveness of your marketing. That's why we built a platform. That's why we built certifications with your DMS and with the marketing channel partners, Google, Facebook. So in order for us to know whether or not, we don't want to spend your money poorly. So we take all of the campaigns that we build and we make sure that we measure the effectiveness of it and try to measure it down to the transaction level. And that's a big thing that we do, is we were able to tell you whatever marketing channel you're using, what the effectiveness is of that, and how much your gross profit is and how much your retail sales is related to those campaigns, which is a huge part of knowing whether or not you want to continue spending money on that. That campaign may not work, and why won't it work? So we put that information together. Another thing that we did is we worked very closely with the ASC team, and as a founding member, we took that data and we've incorporated it into our platform. So we basically have a platform that reports on the ASC events that are being fired from your website and from all your vendors that actually use those ASC events. So you can actually see from a marketing channel perspective what is happening when people go to your website and what things are actually being driven by the marketing that you're spending money on.
You know, you've been in this business for 20 years and you're a founding member of the ASC. I mean, that was kind of a forward-thinking thing, you know, like to kind of come up with that idea. Like, I mean, do you have a crystal ball? Like how do you keep your finger on the pulse of what's coming so that you're able to you know, kind of stay ahead of it?
Well, what I've done for the entire time I've been in the automotive industry, it's been about 25 years now for me, is I've always listened to my customers, and that to me is the most important thing that I can do, and how I keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on. Is the customer experience that dealers share with me and what their needs are is really the thing that really drives all of the automation that AutoSweet builds and all the things that we build into our platform. So we work very closely with them. We have our active consultants that are talking to people and sharing the ideas that they get from their dealerships. And we take all of those ideas very seriously, and we build out new platform enhancements for that. So the prognostication skills that I have, I don't know, I really react more to customers and their needs and what they're trying to do more than anything else, because there's a lot of things that change in the industry all the time. Mm-hmm. And especially in marketing, you know, we look at multiple different channels. We hear from one channel, hey, you should be on TikTok, or you should be on this channel. And so we'll go through and we'll test those channels. And if we find that they're useful, we'll trial them, and then we'll decide which ones actually work best for the industry. And so we vet that with our customers and make sure that it works, and that's how we deliver new products.
Chris, thank you for coming in today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a good time.
Thanks. Nice seeing you.
You too. And thank you for taking the time to join us for this AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, our guest has been Chris Lentz from AutoSweet. We hope to see you again on a future episode. This one's Over the Curb and Burning Gas.